Please be seated. I want all of you to think of someone. Now make that person a leader. They can be real or they can be fictional. Now what traits does that leader have? Are they strong and outspoken, or are they silent and peaceful? Now look at the person next to you. Are they a leader? Why is this or why is this not? Welcome, fellow students, faculty, and most importantly, family. I would like to take my passion for military history and mix that with some great experiences I've had in Air Cadets and with Appleby and Temagami. The Canadian Armed Forces definition of leadership is the art of influencing human behavior to attain a specific goal set out by the leader. Leadership is about perception, knowledge, and followership. Does the person beside you give off an air of being responsible and high-strung, or relaxed with the top button undone and the low-riding pants? Or is there somewhere in between? Take this as an example. What if we heard a speech from a great Canadian with top-quality content, but they read from their speech notes the whole time? What if we heard a speech like Rick Hillier's last year, where he grabbed everyone's attention, gave a few key points, but backed it up with many great examples? The concept of perception came to the front of my mind upon reflection of my trips in Temagami. I had two Upper 2 students this year who particularly stood out as examples of the leaders Temagami is designed to bring out. The students are the type of leaders that would become positive and supportive role models within their respective groups. And when I asked them to do something, they would be the first to get their hands dirty, whether it was making fires, cooking meals, and especially chopping wood. When I saw them around campus, I pictured them as the self-assured students who were very active in certain areas of the Appleby community. When I was their instructor, I found them to be much more than the personality they present at school. They both had some knowledge of the outdoors, but just as everyone on the trip, including myself, there was a lot to learn. After some instruction for the outdoor leaders, the guides, and me, quite often they would take the initiative and get a group of their fellow students together and lead them in that activity. Every leader is constantly learning and improving. When General Rick Hillier came to speak last year, he spoke of the experiences as the Chief of Defense Staff and other senior leadership roles within the military and civilian worlds. One of the main messages he gave was that each new group and situation provides a different challenge and hurdles in the task. A leader must accommodate for different needs and personalities. John F. Kennedy, the former U.S. president, once said, leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. I might not be the best leader, but I strive to improve my leadership skills, like all leaders, to improve and learn for the future. There are 30,000 Air Cadets in Canada, and only about 1% attend the Glider Pilot Scholarship course every summer. The cadets have their pilot's wings and are considered leaders because they've completed one of the most senior courses Air Cadets has to offer. And what gives the perception of leadership is the fact that our leadership is shown on our uniforms with the gold and silver wings. It is a very visible sign for the junior cadets to aspire to in their future years. But they're not just the flying courses. There are other courses dealing specifically with leadership and instruction in areas ranging from aerospace to survival to drill and music. Again, leadership is all about perception and how you are seen by others. Do you know that you may be a leader and not know it? If someone looks to you for guidance, direction, or inspiration, you are probably a leader. I would like everyone to take a look at this window. I call it the Appleby School window. And if you look at the four main figures in the window and you look behind them, you'll see soldiers marching in olive green uniforms and blue helmets. They are another type of leader. They are leading by example. They are going out and they are sacrificing themselves to protect us for now. This is especially shown in the movie Passchendaele by Paul Gross, where Paul Gross's character returns from the war as a sergeant, which is a senior leadership role within the platoon, and he's hospitalized because of injuries. He recovers, and he begins courting one of the military nurses who served him. The nurse's little brother then wants to sign up for the war, and to protect him, Gross's character signs up to fight. He becomes a private and is under his mother's maiden name. And in the final battle scene, he goes out to save the little brother, but the key to his leadership is that he keeps the entire platoon calm in the face of the enemy less than 20 yards in front of them. In battle, all soldiers fight for each other, and if one soldier falls, another soldier will fill up the gap. He turns their followership of observations of leadership into action by looking out for their battle buddies and pushing forward towards the objective. The concept of motivation is strong in this. Take the example of Winston Churchill, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom during World War II's famous speech. "We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in France. We shall fight in the seas and on the oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills, and we shall never surrender." He gave this dynamic patriotic speech over the BBC radio just after the mass evacuation of British troops from France after their defeat at the hands of the German invasion. The speech fortified within the British people the need to preserve and protect the future of the world from fascism. He found the pride and willingness of the nation to stand and fight for the cause, even in the most major defeat. Everyone can become a leader within their community. This can be coaching a team, getting involved in community fundraisers, volunteering at places like Christian Ministries or the local breakfast programs. You will learn what you want to do and what works for you as you go. And your leadership will inevitably inspire others and teach others the good things they can do for the community, whether you take a leadership role in the organization you're working with or not. In the outdoor leadership course, students are taught that there are three types of leadership: authoritarian, democratic, and laissez-faire. Authoritarian is what everyone considers to be the military style of leadership. Democratic is when the leaders take every viewpoint into account, much like our parliament. And laissez-faire is when the leader steps back and allows his or her followers to step forward and become leaders within the situation. As a group is only as strong as its weakest link, the weak links are supported by all the strong links around it, and the chain will not be broken. Where do you fit in this analogy, or where do you try to fit? In cadets, I've been given many great leadership opportunities, from instructing how an engine works, to helping the supply officer distribute uniforms to the squadron, to being the commander of the flag party, where I marched the national flag and the colors on major parades. But all these are very structured leadership positions and almost always are authoritarian because of the structure of cadets. Outside of high-stress environments, the military and emergency services, the majority of the world is democratic and laissez-faire. One way someone becomes more laissez-faire is by delegating. And when you delegate someone a task and you don't tell them how to do it, then you give them the motivation and their own means of getting it done. Another important trait of a leader is someone who self-reflects about what they can and need to improve on for now and the future. This means a person that takes the time to reflect on the good and bad events that have recently occurred. One of the main ways we learn as a society is by trial and error, because experience is one of the best teachers. Flexibility with your plans and watching the group's reactions to constructive criticism is a key hurdle faced by leaders. A true leader will be able to take the issues at hand and turn them, whether they're negative or positive, into complete positives for the group. As Tom Peters said, leadership is about nurturing and enhancing, and a leader must be aware of how every individual in the group reacts to the criticism. Leadership is about listening to the concerns of your team and helping them along the road to knowledge and completion of that task. As the former Joint Chiefs of Staff and Secretary of State of the United States, Colin Powell, put it, leadership is solving problems. The day people stop bringing you their problems is the day you've stopped leading them. They have either lost confidence that you can help or have concluded that you do not care. Either case is a failure of leadership. Now think of that person I asked you about at the beginning. Can they be a leader? Can you be a leader? Be confident and push forward through the toughest times, and you will find out what you stand on this. Emulate a leader, and you too will become one. Can you inspire someone to rise, to do something they never believed they could do themselves? If you said yes, you are a leader. Please rise and sing hymn 573, O Day of Peace.